Hello, mortals! I am the Booktube Goddess, the #1 drag queen booktuber on YouTube, and this is a Get Ready With Me where I put on drag makeup to film videos later today. And we have Cappuccino. Not sure how today is going to go. May or may not be here. Well, thank you for checking in. You know how much I appreciate if you just check in. But we hope to see you here, but if not, that's fine too. Hey, Lori, glad you're here. And Lynette is here. So I have a new sound setup. And if you can't hear me, please let me know. Hopefully, it's okay. I'm always struggling. And we have Umit. Thank you again for joining us. Okay, well, I guess let's just get into it. I was thinking about doing all blue today because I've been saying how blue is easier to blend. But since I've been having so much trouble blending over this glue, I'm going to try to do this face paint underneath the shadow to see how it goes. Anyway, it's an experiment. We'll see how it goes. And Kayla is here. So hope everyone is doing well in your reading. As you may know, I am doing a horror book this month from Shelve It or Shove It. I am doing Echo. Oh, what's the guy's name? I should have looked this up. It's a Dutch author, Thomas Oldhuvelt. And Lynette, I think you're the one that told me that it was a translation, and I didn't see that when I got it. I'm not completely surprised because sometimes the syntax is a little different, but it could just be that it was written in English by someone where English is not their first language. Trying to decide what brush to use. But the story has two main characters, and one is a Dutchman. Oh, it's a gay story. Bearing the lead here. The two characters are a gay couple. One is a Dutchman and one is a man from New York. And the New York character does use some idioms or expressions that's very American. So I wonder if it was originally in Dutch, whether or not some of it was English. If that makes sense. I don't know. One thing I do like having not knowing that the main characters are gay, because for me, something that's like marketed as a gay story, it's either like coming out or AIDS related or maybe a romance. But this couple has been together, I think, 6 years or 7 years or something. And I think it's kind of cool that it's not mentioned. Like I remember when I read Priory of the Orange Tree, it was like marketed at the time as like a gay Game of Thrones or lesbian Game of Thrones. I forget what it said. And it kind of wasn't. and well, I have a lot of opinions about that book. It wasn't my favorite book. But I don't think they did themselves any favors by marketing it that way. Okay, I'm going to put this blue. It. I want to cut the crease high, so I'm just going to Oh boy, talk about not knowing what I'm doing. Okay, I have no idea how that's going to turn out, but oh, Lynette, you're halfway through Echo. All that she carried. I don't know that one. I think we're about in the same place. I mean, I'm doing a ebook, so I should know where I am. I don't think I'm at the 50-point mark, but I'm over 40, so we'll just say 45. I'm finding it not a very fast read. Oh, by the way, for me, I don't know if you agree, Lynette, but the prologue was scary as anything. You like scary horror novels. That prologue was I thought was really good. But the writing itself, I'm finding there is a lot of exposition, and it veers a little into stream of consciousness, which for me just makes the writing or the pacing feel a little slow. So I'm finding it not to be a page turner, I guess is what I'm saying. For me. Not to say it's a bad book, it's just not a fast-paced book. But I do think it's interesting. You're basically getting 2 points of view. It flip-flops between the couple, Nick and, is it Mark or Matt? Matt. You're getting the main characters' names. And they're not extremely reliable narrators, which is always kind of fun. But reading their 2 points of view, and by the way, it doesn't like flip-flop every 10 pages. There's like big sections. Mark, that's his name. You're like on Mark's point of view for a while, then you're on Nate's point of view for a while. But they're not only not completely reliable narrators, but you kind of get you kind of know when they're not telling each other everything, either what they're thinking or experiencing, or I just think that's interesting. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of stream of consciousness writing, with all due respect to Virginia Woolf. Who's afraid of Virginia Woolf? I am, George, I am. That's from the Edward Albee play. I'm not just. Okay. Okay, you and Cap are reading All That She Carried. Is it a mystery? It sounds like a mystery. Audible had a massive sale, so that's where your birthday money went. So are you doing Echo on audio or by Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell? Don't know it, but I love the title. The name Violent Delight sounds familiar. A little repetitive, yeah. Nick and Sam. Okay, thank you. Why did I get Mark? Oh. Yeah, it has some interesting themes. Okay, I'm going to go into this black. And this is probably not the way to use these. I guess I'm using these creams as like face paint. I mean, these face paints as eyeshadow cream. I'm not trying to be too particular. I'm just want something down. Anyway, stream of consciousness is, like I said, not my favorite, because I prefer fast-paced novels, and stream of consciousness just aren't fast-paced because you're in a character's head or thoughts for so long. But that's not to say there aren't any that I don't like. I mean, like, On the Road, Kerouac, and Dahlgren. It's Fit to Be Read Here, but we both like that novel or science fiction novel, which is kind of stream of consciousness. But for the most part, it's not like my favorite. Okay, so we're going to now go to the actual shadow. Man, I hope this works. By the way, I love that play, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Which is a movie, too, by with probably one of the best performances of Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. You know, I haven't read any plays since college. I mean, it's one of the things where I remember reading plays and enjoying them. I mean, of course, Shakespeare, you read that in high school. But other plays are sometimes just fun to read, but I don't even know where to get them. And I don't know what modern plays would be good or not, but I think it's interesting that it's something that looking for a dark blue. Something that I remember enjoying reading like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, or Long Day's Journey, or Godot, Waiting for Godot. Who wrote that? My mind is blanking. But of course, if I'm just primarily read speculative fiction, there really, I guess, isn't much material out there. Oh, it's nonfiction. Okay. Oh, got Echo for $10. I am so glad I was too tired to buy books on Sunday. Okay. Oh, Mr. Rosuri, it's here. Yay! Oh, Ibsen fan. Last play I read was The Orphans by Lyle Kessler. Oh, I love Albert Finney. Matthew Modine's good. I don't know Kevin Anderson. Probably recognize him if I saw him. Okay, by the way, over this face paint I just put on, putting eyeshadow over it. Because if you remember last week, I was having trouble blending over the glue that I have for my eyebrows. And this does work. I think I put a little bit too much on, but we'll see. Okay. So now I'm going to go in with a lighter blue. Hopefully it will blend. Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, so the question is, there's something kind of cool about just reading plays because you're not reading any, it's usually almost all dialogue. And some stage directions, but certainly your imagination is a huge part of reading a play. Actually, didn't J.K. Rowling do uh, that mysterious beast? I don't know. I haven't really been keeping up with J.K. Rowling after her not dishing, but her viewpoints on trans people is a little problematic for me. So that's just me personally. She's like, oh, Alfred Bester. Oh, and City. You've been listening to Fit to Be Read, because I think he did both of those. And I've definitely read Stars by Destination. I love Alfred Bester. I don't know. I think Demolition Man's probably considered his best work. Clifford Simak, I don't recall reading City, and I saw Fit to Be Read's video on it, and it wasn't ringing any bells. But I remember reading him and really enjoying him probably in the 70s. But he's just one of those authors that just sort of fell off the face. And he's definitely, like, even at that time, he was, I think, considered a mid-list author. In other words, not selling a huge amount of books, but just enough to get by, just enough to get published. I think the work of his that I remember the most, enough that I've at least mentioned it before, is Shakespeare Planet. Okay, now I'm going to go to Powder Blue. Okay, so hopefully this looks blended somewhat on the screen. What are we checking out? Sean has a new video up and he talks about J.K. Rowling and her terrible views about other things, not just her. Oh, interesting. Sean. What's the YouTube channel name? I don't know if I recognize Sean. Oh, that's it. Fantastic Beasts. Oh, thank you for reminding me, Kayla, because I think I'm going to do a video on that. I'm probably going to be a little late to the party talking about it as a video, but I heard about it when I was, I think I ran across Jess Owens was doing this live stream or something. And how's that work? So, you just sort of click and half listen. But I heard her talking about Brandon Sanderson releasing 5 novels, or writing 5 novels while in lockdown as his way of coping with the stress of the pandemic, of COVID. So he started this Kickstarter rather than traditionally publishing these new novels. Well, one of them is a middle grade, so there's really 4 novels we're talking about. Rather than traditionally publishing them, he decided to do a Kickstarter and pretty much indie publishing these 4 novels, and it blew up. Actually, let me see how much he's raised, because last I looked, it was like $20 million. Here we go. It is up to $23 million now. And you always get the most, within the first day or two. So I don't think it's going to go, I think it may go up to 30 million, probably between 25 and 30 million. But just think about that. That number is just mind-boggling. So a lot of people were saying, oh, this is the end of publishing. Not the end of publishing, but the publishing industry will need to adapt. If best-selling authors can indie publish their own work through something like Kickstarter, and that would be true if a lot of best-selling authors did that, but I don't think many would. And I don't know of many that would have a fan base to replicate what Sanderson did. I mean, it would have to be someone like Stephen King or, I don't know, James Patterson. I mean, there's a couple authors out there that probably could do it, but they're already filthy rich. So it's not like they need the money. Okay, this is, I have to do something about this. I have as you know, I bought a house recently, so I set up these security cameras, but they're always going off. So I have, because there's workers there right now. So I need to snooze them, or else you'll just be hearing these stupid things go off every. I'll be so glad when this renovation is over. Sorry about that. Okay. Most of my favorite authors are dead. Well, they probably have estates. Yeah, he's making. I was doing some like calculations earlier because I was going to do a video on it. But I think if he traditionally published, he'd be probably making like a fifth of what he's making. Okay, the YouTube channel is simply called Sean. I'll have to look that up. Hey, Fit to be Read video. Sanderson's video was great. Yeah, I know. That's why I was saying I want to do a video on it too, but it's not going to be obviously an instant reaction. So I'm going to be late to the party, but I think it's an interesting thing to discuss. Yeah, it's not the end of traditional publishing. Yeah. Well, here's what I would hope happens, which is not going to happen. But what would be nice to have happen is if a lot of best-selling authors started doing that in the publishing industry in response, in order to keep those authors, would be to raise their royalty rates. Because I've always thought for ebooks that publishers take way too big of a cut. And I've always thought that authors just don't make enough money. So if this could make the publishing industry rethink their royalty rates, that would be a really good thing. But like I said, I don't think it's going to happen. Because I still prefer, and I hope I don't get hate for saying this, but I still prefer traditionally published books over indie published books, simply because I just haven't had great luck finding good indie books. And trust me, I'll try. Now, and I guess it's just because publishing, what authors have to go through to be traditionally published, means there's a lot of vetting involved with traditionally published books, and you know they're going to be well edited, et cetera, et cetera. And not that an indie published book couldn't be well edited and be a great book. It's just, I've found it's like looking for a needle in a haystack. I think there are great self-published books, but the problem for me is trying to get past the ones that don't. Yeah, that's just it. I mean, good indie published books, those authors have editors, they have proofreaders, which is different from an editor. They go through the same beta testing, pre-readers to get feedback that a traditionally published book would go through, or author would go through. It's just finding those authors and books is, for me, has been not easy. But of course, you can rely on other booktubers or reviewers who do read a lot of indie books to vet them for you. There was one indie book, fantasy book. What was it called? I want to say Wildwood, but that has to be wrong. Anyway, I was so pissed off because it was well written. It checked all the boxes. Was well written, well edited. Enjoyed the first book, but the message was just pissed me off so much, which I didn't get to till the third book. Basically, it was this. It's a high fantasy, and the main character or the main conflict is, I thought, was like between order and chaos, where the side of order is, I don't know if you've ever read L.E. Modesitt Jr.'s Recluse series, but it was kind of reminding me of that. And the order side was very moral, very prudish, which I didn't mind for a fantasy series. I mean, it was an interesting take, I thought. But what I didn't realize is this is really how the author viewed reality. And at the end of the series, or the 3 books I read, and I was with them up till the last, the hero basically released a plague that would kill the immoral population, basically. And how I read it, it was like reading as though AIDS was God's punishment, of course, through my experience and eyes. That's how I read it. Was like something like AIDS was God's punishment to those who weren't morally upright. And I was just so over that series. Yeah, I think the author, it's like I had to read the biography after that. I think it's Mormon, something like that. Which Brandon Sanderson's Mormon too, but he's not. I haven't read any of that type of morality lessons in his works, but by the way, I wish I remembered the name of that series. Maybe I just misinterpreted it. I don't know. I don't think I did though. Can you imagine your main hero's big way to save the world is to release the plague to kill the people that aren't upright and just or whatever? Yeah, and I was really pissed off because I was like, oh, I finally found an indie author that's really good. Little did I know what I was getting into. I think they're. Oh, I think I read this. No, I haven't. I haven't seen the first episode of Picard. I kind of want to wait till there's like more episodes out because I got what's it, Paramount or Peacock? Paramount, and I've only gotten through like the first half of Discovery, which the season just seems real slow to me. But I have higher expectations for Picard. You've had a good experience with indie titles, but only read a small handful. Oh, it was a horrible series, Kayla. Uh, okay, let me look up on Amazon. Let me see. Obviously, I got it on Goodreads. There's another indie series I got, which I won't recommend either, but it wasn't horrible in that way. It was just the main character was such a Mary Sue or whatever the um, male equivalent is to a Mary Sue, and it was so obviously the author inserting himself into the main character. But even despite the flaws, I thought it was fun to read. Um, but it was, like I said, a little bit sexist too. Um, which is probably why I won't recommend it. But just scroll through. It started with a W. Oh, Kristen Britton is a author I really like that I don't talk enough about because I've forgotten to read her. Yeah, going through this list, I'm seeing like books that I remember reading. I'm going through my Amazon list. Um, oh, The Circle by Dave Eggers. Did not like that at all. How am I sorting this? Book by recent. Okay. Okay. The book that is by Michael Manning. This isn't the book. This is the one that was a little bit sexist and had a Mary Sue character. Is by Michael Manning. Um, where the heck? Maybe I read that before. Okay, I'm spending way too much time looking. But I'm kind of obsessed now with trying to find out what the name of that author is. Okay. Okay, I think it started with a W, so I'm going to sort by authors. Can I sort by author's last name? Author. Oh, maybe the book started with a W. Oh, did anyone read Wool? I didn't like that book. God, and that was a indie book, or first was published as an indie book of good good reviews, but I couldn't get into it for some reason. Could I have deleted it off my Amazon account? Is that possible? Yeah, I think at one point I was even thinking about doing a video on this book, but it had been a while since I read it, and I wasn't going to reread it. Oh, here it is. No, that's not it. Shit. Where is it? Oh, I'm so confused. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I'm spending too much time on that. I can't figure it out. Let's get back to drag makeup. I'll tell you what, next week, I'll look it up this week, and if I can figure it out, I'll let you know next week. So, I want some glitter. Should I just do blue? Just make it all blue. Yeah, this bluish silver. So what I'm going to do, sort of Kagan. Yeah, I've heard that name. Soft magic to hard magic. Interesting. So you don't like Brandon Sanderson, I guess. His magic systems are super structured. Just realized I veered so much into fantasy reading in March. Oh, great. Piranesi, Shadow of the Torturer. Yeah, Gene Wolfe, he's such a unique writer, but it does, even in science fiction, sort of veers into fantasy. Because my favorite Gene Wolfe is still the Short Sun series, um, or Book of the Short Sun, or Long Sun, Book of the Long Sun, and uh, and it's definitely science fiction, but it reads as fantasy. Hey Lex, thank you for coming to the stream! Yay! I remember reading it and forgot it wasn't really sci-fi. Talking about Shadow of the Torturer. Yeah, I forget myself. It's been a while since I've read that. I mean, I have it somewhere. Even his fantasy, like his wizard, he's called Wizard Warrior Duology. Reads is not quite traditional fantasy. There's just something. Well, he's Gene Wolfe. I would think is a literary writer. So there's something about the quality of his writing that just sort of spans different genres. I think. I read one of his contemporary ones. What's it called? Sorceress or magician, something like that. But I didn't realize until near the end that it was a sort of contemporary homage to H.P. Lovecraft. I hope I didn't ruin it for anyone, but he but he kept it kind of tight to his to the story. It didn't really need to be. Was it? Huge revelation. Okay, so let's. Been rereading books. Oh, you got an autographed copy of Anne Rice and reading your wife's fantasy book. That's fantastic. Oh, I hope she gets published or self-published, or is she published? I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to read after I finish Echo. Hopefully, it won't take me all month to read. Okay, so let's put on some glitter. Yes, you're going to try to improve your bookbinding skills. Oh, that's interesting. Her book hasn't been published. She's scared for her book being rejected. Well, as someone who writes, I can understand that quite a bit. Yes, good luck. Oh, that's too bad. I read that. I used to love X-Men. But, oh, my favorite. Okay, let me just go through these. It looks like Will Ferrell. This one. Mr. Will Ferrell. I don't think I was going to do another review on the Greenbone Caleb, but yeah, I like doing that video. As usual, it's a book review video, so it does not do very well on my channel, which is very annoying. Oh, you liked Wool? I don't know why my book review channel or my book reviews just don't do well. Yeah, I'm kind of jealous of you, Fit, because I know your book reviews usually do very well. But I think I pretty much said all I really wanted to say about the Greenbone saga. By the way, I don't really like the name of that series, Greenbone, because I kept calling it. I noticed as I was editing my video, I kept calling it Jadebone. I mean, it seems like the word jade should be in the series title since each of the books have the word jade in it. That, of course, takes away nothing with how good the series is. Actually, Sid, I think you might like that series too, because like I said in it, even though it's a fantasy series, I think it's one of those that kind of reads like a science fiction series. I mean, it is contemporary. And like I said in my video, a lot of times you forget about the fantasy element. I mean, you just get so caught up in the story and the characters that you kind of forget, oh yeah, there's a magic system. That this is a fantasy. Okay, so that's one glitter eye done. I know there's a little black dot there, but I'll fix that in a minute. Well, I can fix that now. yeah, I really thought it was a great alternate reality, contemporary. I mean, it's not really alternate reality, but a fantasy set in a 20th century technology or setting that made it really unique. But it definitely, in my opinion, was or explored a lot of 20th century political, social themes revolving around the Cold War through the perspective of a small Asian nation. But then again, you also get sort of Godfather vibes. You get, of course, crazy martial arts, superpowers. And I was really happy that I read the books after they were all published, so I could read them one after the other without waiting. Okay, so glitter is on. The glitter has landed. Oh my gosh, Lynette. Thank you so much. You're too kind. Oh, that's interesting. You're reading it. You're one of the few people, Lux, that are reading The Wheel of Time after seeing the series. Thank you for the super sticker. For the wig fund, yes. Still like starting series. Who Fears Death by Okorafor. I forgot it. It's not really sci-fi. Yay, you see the glitter. Okay, I need to brush off this ink. And the group cosplays some of the characters. You don't really get Rand a good, unique Rand cosplay outfit until you get later in the series when he has tattoos. But I think the funnest would be the Aes Sedai. Simply because you could do the different colored Aes Sedai. I guess an Aes Sedai and Warder pair would be fun too to cosplay. You know what? I need some. Just need to lay down some light. Around the inner corner. Okay. Oh, I know what I was going to say. You mentioned comic book. My favorite comic book of all time is The Sandman by Neil Gaiman. Started reading. I had the very first copy of that comic book. I want to say mid '80s. And I collected them all through the '90s. But I am so excited that they've been talking about making it into a either a movie or a series. They've been saying that for decades. But apparently, Netflix is finally doing The Sandman, and I am very, very excited about that. And it's really where Neil Gaiman got his name because he didn't start in novels. He definitely started in comic books. I don't know about this liner. Okay, sorry about all that silence, but as you know, the eyeliner is always a little bit tricky, and I do want to put on some of this Inglot liner. Well, oh, there's a first-person shooter for Wheel of Time. Oh, that's cool. I think my review's 80 to 100 views. I envy those who get 1,000. Well, it's very few booktubers get 1,000 views for book review videos. Few do. Yeah, I'll definitely be reviewing The Sandman. Yeah, I love your original music. I could not tell you if it's if it's helping or hurting your channel. It's not hurting your channel. Yeah, I agree. I like Gaiman's adaptations. Oh boy. That's not. That's just depressing. You know who I haven't heard much from lately? I was just thinking about is Clive Barker. Because he really is my favorite horror author. You never hear about him much anymore. Oh, if you didn't know, Clive Barker is also a gay writer who talks openly about when he was a struggling young artist being a male escort in his 20s. Which is kind of interesting for a famous author like Clive Barker to admit. I mean, it's not anyone's business, but something he shares, and I'm sure colors some of his, or informs some of his storytelling. Okay, so I think I'm just going to smoke out this black just a little bit. I don't know why I just jumped from Clive Barker to Neil Gaiman to Clive Barker. Well, probably because we were talking about adaptations. And And as horror books go, I think there's been some good Clive Barker adaptations. I mean, obviously the Hellraiser series, because didn't he not only write it, but didn't he direct one or two of them? And by the way, I think the best Hellraiser movie is the second one with the little girl who can solve puzzles in the asylum. She wasn't a little girl, the teenage girl. But Clive Barker isn't for everyone. It's definitely really gruesome. Okay, so I think we're done with the eyes, except for the lashes, of course, which we can do later. Let me reinforce some of this. Blush. I don't know why I keep trying to use, because I see so many other drag queens use these highlighters, so I figure like I should too, though I don't think it really does much. Okay, so now we can move on to lips. Oh, really? You haven't read Weave World? That's one of his earlier books. I think it was before Imagica. And Imagica, in my opinion, is his masterpiece, but Weave World was really, really good. And it reads more like contemporary fantasy than it does horror, both Weave World and Imagica. But it definitely has Clive Barker's signature extreme graphic details. No, I would suggest Magica as well as Weave World. Those two are his. Oh, Lex loves Clive Barker. Yay. Reading up a book on Wolf, and Book of the New Sun was first inspired by Wolf, superficially wanting to make a character people could easily cosplay. I had no idea. If you don't know, Severian is a executioner. But I could see how that would be fun to cosplay. Technophage. I haven't heard that one. Okay, so we are going to try lips. Oh, I know. I did eyeshadow lips last week. Let's do that again. That turned out pretty interesting. I'm looking for a little lip brush. There it is. Okay, so I think I just want dark red lips. So I need a dark red. Okay, so what did I do last time? Did I fill the whole thing in with red? I think I was like hoping for a shimmer. I don't think I have a red shimmer. Pink shimmers. Silver shimmers. We have orange shimmers. Well, I'm just going to fill in with sort of a dark red. This is almost purple. I just think it's interesting doing eyeshadow lipstick. Okay, how's that look? I hope that looks okay. And let's do the eyelashes. Oh, and medieval mysteries, fantasy and medieval mysteries. I like that. I usually read a lot more fantasy than I do sci-fi, personally. Half Price Books has some for you. Oh, you might listen to A Scanner Darkly as I do your bookbinding. This is your favorite Philip K. Dick. Reading slump. Yeah, the pandemic really threw a lot of people. I don't know if you'd call it a reading slump, but there are definitely some books I just have trouble. And I wonder if I should just DNF them. Like, I'll be honest with you, Echo, the horror book, is challenging, not challenging, but it's not the type of book that makes me want to keep reading. Like, some books, they're hard to put down. This one's easy to put down. And some books I can't wait to get back into reading. This book isn't like that. So, and it's not a bad book. It's not badly written. It's just the pacing and some of the choices for me make it difficult to, or make it not a compelling read. Which means I'll take a long time reading it. Like the Jade, I keep wanting to call it Jade Bone. The Green Bone books, I really couldn't put down. I just had to keep reading. The only exception to that is the last book. Wasn't fast paced, so I didn't have the exact same experience with the last book that I did the first two books in terms of pacing and wanting to read them, but I went through that series really fast. That's what I would really like. I just like finding a series that's already written, that's really good, and I can just get into it until the book's end or the story ends. But on the other hand, some series are just too long to do that. Like, Lord help you if you try to do the Malazan series in one sitting. I don't know if I would have gotten through the Wheel of Time in one sitting. The Expanse books, what are there, 7 books? I think I could do The Expanse. And the one thing about The Expanse is that each book it's like one book is just like on a planet side, which is like a lot different than the other books. There seems to be a lot of variation in the Expanse. And then some books are a series, but they're not really serialized. Like if you've read the, who wrote the Telchis series? Telchis. Not David Weber, is it? Vlad in Telchis? Vlad. Anyway, it's one of those fantasy series where the main character is kind of dark, like the Gentleman Bastard series, or kind of roguish. But there are tons of those books. But I don't even think you have to read them in order. I just noticed how off these lips are. Oh, great, Lex. I'm going to find out what happens in Echo. I just wish it did not meander. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, sort of that stream of consciousness meandering. Yeah, you have to be in the mood for certain books. It's non-linear. I am with your wife. I love the books and the show. I haven't read that one. Why do these lips look so uneven? Okay, there we go. And for a wig, shall we just do the Will Ferrell one that Sid pointed out? Oops, what did I just do? Yeah, this is my, I'm calling it the Doris Day wig, or I guess it could be Zsa Zsa Gabor. Earrings. And finally, some gloves. I think I mentioned at the start of this video or this live stream that I've changed the sound setup. So I'm going to be curious to play it back to see how my sound quality is for this live stream. Because of all the things for Booktube or YouTube, it's sound that I think it's the hardest to master. Okay, guys, this is the final look. I did I'm going to call it cream before the eyeshadow. And by cream, of course, I mean the face paint flash palette. But I do think it does help putting down shadow over like the glued down eyebrows. And the only thing is there aren't that many colors, and I did get another bunch of these flash palette paints, but it's not as good quality as that. Even though they're from the same brand, they just seem to be very sheer. Maybe I should just give them another chance. But, oops. But here's what I'm talking about. I've tried this purple, and it just seems very sheer. Anyway, I'm going to continue doing my Critical Role videos, and I know that's not for everyone, but for some reason they seem to be getting views. And I do enjoy talking about Critical Role because, as I've said before, there aren't many people I can talk to about it. And I do want to do a video on Brandon Sanderson, so we'll see how that goes. You are most welcome, Lori. Thank you. Please take off. Thank you, Lynette, and thank you for the sticker tip. Thank you, Fit. Brent Haley, the comic book art colorist. Hook on your. Oh, great! Thank you so much. Okay, guys, please take care. Do well. Hope to see you next week. And as usual, may all the books you read be blessed.